Hey everyone, how you guys doing today on this lovely Saturday? Well, here it's not really a lovely Saturday. It's been raining all day, even though the weatherman said it was going to be bright and cloudy, cloudless, and not a cloud in the sky. And I don't know what the hell they know. It's all guesswork in front of a blue screen. So, well, anyway though, I hope your Saturday is going nice. I had a few videos planned for the next few weeks. But there was one that I was going to do today, but I put it off because I wanted to do one that I think has a little bit more importance to it as far as this channel is concerned. I kind of want to cover some of the downsides, some of the struggles, specifically of having Asperger's that's more mild, more, high, quote-unquote, higher functioning Asperger's. We all kind of know what, some of the downsides, the struggles are to having Asperger syndrome are, poor social skills, poor organizational skills, executive functioning skills are kind of poor, that kind of stuff. But specifically, I want to cover some of the downsides to having Asperger's more mildly. And I know what you're thinking. Well, if you have Asperger's more mildly, that should be a little better for somebody than having Asperger's more severely. In a lot of ways it is, but having it more mildly has its own unique negative characteristics. And people who have Asperger's more mildly, as opposed to people who have it more severely, they have their own unique struggles that they face because of it. Now, it kind of goes without saying that Asperger's is not really unique from most conditions, in the sense where with most conditions, there's a spectrum of severity. Somebody could be asthmatic, but their asthma could be a little more mild, to where maybe they just kind of get some, asthmatic episodes during allergy seasons, or maybe with the proper medicines they don't suffer from any asthma attacks at all. Then there's other asthmatics to where they have to be on multiple medications and they still have to go to the emergency room from time to time because bronchospasm that can't be treated. There's people with psoriasis who they might just get like a little bit of flaking on their face and that's it. And then there's people who have severe psoriasis to where it covers their whole body. And I actually, incidentally, I used both of those two conditions, asthma and psoriasis, because yours truly also has to cope with those as well. So, I have Asperger's, I have asthma, I have psoriasis, I have hormone imbalance, I have all this shit to deal with, so take pity on me. But anyway, Asperger's is it's on a spectrum of severity, just like those conditions are. There are people who are, severely Aspergerian, and I don't want to insult anybody who's on the spectrum. I want to be very delicate with this. When I say severe and mild, when it pertaining to Asperger syndrome, because, just because it's a delicate topic, but there are people who have, Asperger syndrome a little more severely, to where they need, they're not independent. A lot of times they have to live at home. They can't keep a job. Sometimes they can't do more adult things like driving, keeping up with schoolwork if they're involved in school. Basically, they might need, a mentor or a parent or guardian to help them through life. And then there's people who are at the other end of that spectrum, the Asperger spectrum, like yours truly, who, I don't have good people skills or social skills at all. I do struggle with organization, multitasking, executive functioning, that kind of stuff. But I'm more or less, at this point in my life, fully independent. My brother and I share a place. We both split the bills and the responsibilities. I have 2 jobs. I'm in school. So I have, it's not easy, but, for the majority of the matter, I'm more or less sufficient, efficient, whatever the fuck that word is. I'm more or less independent. And that's great. But because I have Asperger's more mildly, I have my own unique struggles and issues, and I think that other people with more mild Asperger's who are watching this video can relate. We're at a point right now in the year 2017 where Asperger syndrome is becoming a pretty well-known or more or less well-known condition, to where almost everybody you meet either knows somebody or has known somebody who has it. So if you're somebody who has Asperger's more moderately or severely, and this person is not functioning well in a given situation, somebody might just say, "Oh, I think that person has Asperger's or something," whatever. But somebody like me, who has Asperger's more mildly, if I'm not functioning well in a given situation, because it might not be as visually obvious that I'm on the spectrum, it's more likely that somebody might just think I'm a weirdo or a creep, or even an asshole, which I am a weirdo and a creep and an asshole, but that's besides the point. And I think because kids and adults who have Asperger's more mildly, it might not be as evident that they have Asperger's. They have to face a lot of that, not only in an everyday setting, but in a clinical setting. It's harder for them to get diagnosed. I went to, I don't go to psychiatrists anymore, but I went to psychiatrists when I was younger, and this is when Asperger's syndrome was first starting to kind of become a well-known condition, and he didn't think I had it. We knew I had ADHD, and we knew I had some other problems, but, even though in notes and stuff that were released years later from other counselors I went to, said stuff like, Michael has bad social skills, Michael can't organize things, Mike does not always interact well with peers, stuff that obviously indicates Asperger's syndrome. Nobody diagnosed me with it. I guess because it wasn't just blatantly obvious that I had Asperger's syndrome. And because of that, I had to face a lot of negative repercussions from people. And if it wasn't for a family member recommending that I get diagnosis, I probably wouldn't have. Speaking of which, I might do, I think I'm going to do another video kind of soon discussing my Asperger's story, what led up to my diagnosis, and that kind of stuff. But a lot of times kids with more mild Asperger's who aren't diagnosed, the teachers might just think poorly of them because it might not be obvious that that they have Asperger's. They might just seem weird or eccentric or assholey or something like that. And one of the things, one of my pet peeves, the things that really, really irritates the shit out of me is there are some people I have actually met on a day-to-day basis who, it's happened a couple times, where they've actually asked me, like, "Do you have Asperger's?" And, I guess they picked up on the fact that my social skills are kind of poor. And in a sense, kind of like, well, what kind of question is that to ask somebody? But, obviously I do have Asperger's, so whatever. Then there's other times, more often than not, I'll tell somebody I have Asperger's syndrome, and they'll go like, "Really? No, you don't have Asperger's. You were misdiagnosed or something." Everybody these days has Asperger's. It's an overdiagnosed thing. Oh yeah, 1 out of every 100 people are on the spectrum, whatever. And that is something that kind of aggravates me because I'm trying to think of a good example. It's like telling an asthmatic person, "Oh, you don't have asthma. I don't see you wheezing or short of breath or using your inhaler." Or, it's that same sort of thing. Just because you don't really realize certain characteristics of a condition that somebody has doesn't mean they don't really have it. And I face that a lot. And that's the frustrating thing about having Asperger's more mildly, is that you still have the lack of social skills, and you still have to face the daily day-to-day struggles of somebody with more moderate to severe Asperger's. But at the same time, you don't get as much of the recognition and help that you need because it's not as apparent that you have it. And you get a lot of doubt, you get a lot of doubtful people, and a lot of naysayers who just kind of shrug it off because, "Oh, you don't seem like Rain Man," So, and that's kind of, I just wanted to do this video about that. I don't really have anything else to say. I just wanted to touch kind of base on that. I want to ask those of you watching this video who have more mild Asperger's, have you ever kind of faced that because you're kind of more marginally on the spectrum? And to go back to the whole diagnosis thing that I'm going to do a video on some other time, I was diagnosed. I do have Asperger's. I am on the spectrum. Technically, if it is a spectrum, everybody has to fall on it somewhere. But I am on the spectrum to a degree to where I have Asperger's even though I was diagnosed as being more marginal, quote unquote. So I do have all the symptoms of Asperger syndrome. I face the same struggles as everybody, though sometimes some of those symptoms are not as apparent as they would be if I had Asperger's a little more mild. So those of you who have more mild Asperger's who are watching this, let me know if you can relate to any of what I'm saying, and let me know if you have experiences that are kind of similar to mine. And actually, I want to ask you guys watching this too. Give me your honest opinion. I won't get my feelings hurt or anything. I won't take it the wrong way, but just by judging how I conduct myself in this video, and if you've seen other videos of mine, you know, if you haven't seen other videos of mine, shame on you, go watch them. But if you have seen other videos of mine, just judging by how I act and present myself in all those videos and in this one, would you assume that I have Asperger syndrome? If I didn't have this video channel where I did videos about Asperger syndrome, and you just met me somewhere and I was presenting myself the same way I am now, would you assume that I have Asperger syndrome or not? And you know, just let me know, because I'm curious to see what you guys would think. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you very much for watching. Tomorrow is Mother's Day. I have to work, so I spent today with my mommy. For those of you who are going to have tomorrow off, happy Mother's Day. To those of you watching this video who have squeezed a baby out of an orifice, happy Mother's Day to you. And as always, thank you for watching. Please keep posted, because I do have more videos that I am going to be posting in the next number of weeks. Any questions, comments, suggestions, please let me know, and that will be that. Thank you very much. Have a good one.